Wyatt and Kurt Russell talking about remaking the last Starfighter? Yeah, okay.
The whole movie, they're in this like weird, space thing. But I think that's a kind of they've tried to remake that movie, but I think the person who's in charge of the IP will not let it go.
Welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV and movie channel.
There was a movie, I'm blanking on the name of it. It's called like
Overboard?
Overboard. The sci-fi version. Overboard in space.
It's Christmas jumper day at work, by the way. Do you like it? It's my Christmas cardie. My wife hates this thing. But anyway, let's get to the reason for the video. The Last Starfighter is a film that is a bit of a cult classic and one of the very earliest movies to use really decent computer-generated images. This and Tron really were the first films to do it. It had a budget of $15 million back then, which is pretty impressive. And it really is a great movie.
Where the story of it is this kid who plays this video game, he's unbelievable at this video game, and then the alien comes down and he needs to save the universe by basically playing the video game. Who would be in that? There was a movie, I'm blanking on the name of it. It's called like
Overboard?
Overboard. The sci-fi version. Overboard in space. Who would be in that movie?
Will you see Goldie Hawn?
Overboard in space. No, it's a.
Was it a movie?
Yeah, it was about a kid who lives in a trailer park and he plays a video game.
The director of that movie is one of John Carpenter. You should know this. You're
Last Starfighter.
Last Starfighter.
Last Starfighter is a totally flawed film.
I remember seeing that, like flawed because I liked it.
Okay, maybe not flawed as much as it is just underdone. Like,
in other words, there's a lot more.
There's a lot more there that you can do now. Where the story of it is this kid who plays this video game. He's unbelievable at this video game, and then the alien comes down and he needs to save the universe by basically playing the video game.
Who's the director of that? Don?
It's Nick Castle.
Nick Castle. Yeah, Nick was one of the worked with John on Escape from New York.
Now, there has been a big push by Universal Studios to try and get a sequel. The Last Starfighters has been bounced around for quite some time. As far as going, actually, that the director and producer involved actually produced this sort of like fake trailer to try and get a bit of momentum going. So what is happening? Where are we now? Well, I've been able to speak to one of my sources immediately. Basically, he confirms what Wyatt is talking about here, that the IP has really been a bit bogged down with sort of legal. Universal are desperately trying to get some sort of solution, but it's really get stuck in development hell, as so many movies do. It also then didn't help that things like the strikes happened, which really put a lot of projects on the back burner. So as we speak right now, there are no direct plans for a Last Starfighters movie, but Universal is still very interested. So it is interesting when an up-and-coming actor like Wyatt Russell talks about it, and maybe you could get your dad involved. That would be okay. Use the name. Why not?
Paul Fricker told me to watch that movie, and
it's good.
It's a good movie, but
it
could be redone.
Especially if you give them more than $750 to make it with. I mean, that's
exactly. Now you could make that movie and build out the space world.
I actually think coming off Monarch, Wyatt is going to... Well, his star is rising, basically. And if there are projects like this he wants to get involved in, that really does add a little bit of weight to the possibility.
Last Starfighter is a totally flawed film.
I remember seeing that, like flawed because I liked it.
Okay, maybe not flawed as much as it is just underdone. Like,
in other words, there's a lot more.
There's a lot more there that you can do now.
I actually agree with Wyatt here that this film was not underwhelming. It was underused. You see a film like this and you just think, wow, imagine this bigger. There's only one Starfighter, the last Starfighter. There's just one base on that planet with a couple of Starfighters. There's one enemy vessel with a couple of dozen, like drones or fighters. It didn't really make a lot of sense if you actually think about it, if this was real. But the whole storyline about this computer game being sent out there and being used as a recruitment tool was actually very clever. And I'd love to see that done in a modern sense, particularly, if you think about like social media or something, it could be done a little bit differently now with technology the way it is. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be a classic arcade machine anymore. Sad. I used to like arcade machines. They cost a fortune nowadays, so it's like £2 for a game that lasts 3 seconds. Anyway, I'm old. These things wind me up. So I actually think the modern culture and modern audience would be ready for a game like this. All the kids playing on their computer games, fantasizing about being able to take on an enemy in real life like that. But also, the CGI, etc. has come on so far, you wouldn't even have to spend a massive amount of money, relatively, to actually produce something that was very cool, particularly if you include a bunch of actors that nobody knows. Don't spend $30 million just getting one A-list actor. Put the money on the screen, And they could produce something really, really cool. And most importantly, a sequel. Let's do The Last Starfighters. Let's not do a remake, because the original deserves the credit, It deserves to still exist within this universe. Let's add to it, because I actually think Wyatt is bang on that this is a movie that does deserve more. And Kurt Russell obviously knows how good a film this was, even if he couldn't remember what it was called, and he couldn't remember the director's name, even though he'd worked with him. But anyway, guys, get into the comments, go and tell me what you think. Is this a movie you would kill to see get a sequel or a remake? I prefer a sequel. But get into the comments and tell me what you think. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/sidetrack, where most of our new videos premiere first and you get to see them without the adverts. Also, you can go to sidetrack.co.uk, which is our dedicated website where we do stories based on most of our videos and we try to add a little bit more meat for you to digest. Go and check it out. Merry Christmas, and if it's your Christmas jumper day, don't forget to give to charity. My charity over here is Save the Children, or Children in Need, or something like that. There's children. They'll get money off me. They should say thank you, all of them, but they don't. Children. Anyway, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.